Yo, what is up guys, Grim here, and in today's video, I would like to introduce you guys to the absolutely crazy world of bestiary farming in the 3.13 expansion. So with the new Atlas Ascendancies and Watchstones, you can take bestiary to absolutely ridiculous heights. I've actually not seen any more multiplier on the tree quite like it. You know, you see Legion, great, it's absolutely broken, but bestiary, compared to its base form, the heights you can achieve with these new Watchstones and the talents is completely ridiculous. And we're of course going to get into some tests, some info, and some strategies to make you guys a ton of currency, and with a twist, these actually can be done with friends. And no, you don't need an Aurobot or anything like that. This strategy is completely viable for you to jam with any of your buddies. So let's get into it and let's get into the strategy. So, first off, bestiary. If you guys don't know, you can add bestiary to your map using Einhar missions, or you can roll with some sextants if you want to do that. You can get Einhar that way too. There's prophecies and stuff like that. But the main way you want to be engaging with Einhar is through gilded bestiary scarabs and phenomenal lures if you want to go down that route. But most people, I'd recommend going with the scarabs. They're fairly cheap, you can get them in bulk, and they do the job just great. So the reason you use scarabs is because they add additional red beasts to the map. And this strategy revolves purely around farming red beasts. There's a pretty specific list of beasts that are worth money and that you should be paying attention to, and we'll go over them a little bit later in the video. But first, let's get into the strategy and how it's all going to work. So, if you were to run just normal bestiary maps, with the scarabs, and figure out how much money you could make, how much could you realistically make? Well, of course, I did a test and I checked it out. So if you were to run 100 gilded bestiary maps solo, what kind of beast would you get and what kind of money are you looking at here? Well, you'd get about this many beasts. We'll go over the specifics later on about what each of these does and why it's valuable, but overall, your money isn't looking too hot. You're going to make about 1.4 chaos per map if you're just doing normal bestiary scarabs, with gilded. That's not that impressive and it's nothing really to write home about. So, of course, we need to juice up this mechanic with the new Atlas Ascendancies, and we'll get to some Watchstones later. So, of course, I had to do another 100 maps, but this time we needed to test out the Atlas Ascendancies and see just how powerful they are. Spoilers, pretty broken. So first off, let's look at our options. We've got two areas for bestiary. We've got Turn's End, which is, bestiary area number 1, and we've got Lyra Arthane. So Turn's End essentially offers you some more multipliers on your red beasts and adds some more red beasts into the mix. But the real big draw of Turn's End is Great Migration. So Great Migration gives you about a 1 in 20 chance for your map to essentially be pure bestiary. It has about anywhere between 20 to 40 beasts in it. Some percentage of them will be red beasts, some percentage of them will be yellow beasts. If you actually average out the additional beast map over the 20 maps, it's really actually not that impressive. And you're going to get about 1 or 2 extra red beasts per map on average over the 20 maps. And the big note here is actually big game. But even big game is fairly underwhelming in my opinion. It does give you a nice chunk more of red beasts and a chance for them to be duplicated, but overall it's fairly uninspiring in my opinion for big profits. So let's move on to door number 2, Lyra Arthane. Definitely not the most powerful selection, but there is one node here in particular that I knew was going to be broken as soon as I saw it, and that is natural selection. So natural selection essentially is beasts and areas are more likely to be less common varieties. So what does this mean? We actually have no way of telling, but I knew that I could figure it out if I did 100 maps with this talent to really compare it to the base numbers and really see, what this actually does. So let's dive in and take a look at those results. So we'll jump over here. What are those results? Well, if you take a look at the numbers here, we've got the 4 up here are the spirit beasts, the ones which allow you to access the unique boss arenas. So you can see here that I got a total of 1 of the tigers in our first test. I mean, none of the tigers in our first test, but I actually got 1 when I was using the talent. I got 2 of the spider crabs, which let you fight the crab boss, in the first test, but now I got 5 of them. So pretty crazy. And of course, I got one of the phenomenal hybrid arachnids, which is Venomous, and I got 2 of them in the second test, and 4 of the Saccharine Rexes versus 7. So it's clear increases across the board, and this node is to blame. It's actually incredibly powerful, and when you look at some of the other more valuable beasts as well, so if you compare the imprint beasts, which is worth about 30 to 40 chaos, it fluctuates. I got 3 in my normal test, but I got 8 in my turns end test, so very, very good there. And of course, I did get an extra spider, but it's nothing too crazy. I would put that down to RNG personally, whether I got more or less, so yeah. Pretty interesting there. But essentially, what I want to point out to you guys, though, is that across the board, we saw an increase in the amount of rare and valuable beasts that we were getting without exception. So very, very good there. If you were actually interested in how much more money you could earn, you can see here in the Bestiary farm, we're now looking at getting about 4.7 chaos per map, which is pretty okay. It's nothing to write home about, and it's about on par with, some like Harbinger farming kind of like ish stuff, so it's okay, nothing too crazy. All right, so we needed to take things to the next level. And of course, where do you look when you want to take things to the next level? You look at the new craftable Watchstones. They're absolutely crazy, and Bestiary, in my opinion, has some of the most powerful ones, if not the most powerful ones. The Watchstones here are absolutely broken, and we'll get into why that is right now. So you can see here, the mod you're looking for here is 47, or it's actually 50 at max roll, 50% chance for red beasts in areas to be less common of 2 varieties. So what does this mean? It means that, let's say you rolled, not a very good beast, right? A bad one, and you rolled a beast worth 50 chaos. Well, it's going to roll both of them as if there was 2 in the map, and it's just going to give you the one worth way more. That's pretty much how it works out, and is essentially doubling all the red beasts in your map effectively, due to the fact that you can get 2 of these, and you can pretty much fully cap it out with 2 Watchstones using Secrets of the Stones. Essentially, you go way over 100%, and that's it. You get basically double the amount of beasts. And when you stack this on top of the Lyra Arthane natural selection, you're going to see that things get absolutely out of control. It becomes completely disgusting. I'm not sure why, but it goes way beyond double, triple, even quadruple the amount of beasts that you would get normally. I'm not sure if you hit some sort of rarity cap and it just always picks the most rare one or something like that, but you're going to see the results are staggering. I've talked to a few other people as well who've been doing this farm, and the results seem fairly consistent. And 100 maps really isn't that much of a small sample size when you actually consider it. So, drum roll please. Here is the results from full investment. So we got all the Watchstones in, and we got the talents in, and man, it is completely staggering how much everything has increased. So, in our first test, we got 0 Tiger Alphas. In our second test, we got 1. In our last test, we got 5. It's absolutely broken. You can see here we got double the amount of spider crabs. We got 7 times the amount of venomous keys. 7 times. We got almost double the amount of Rexes. On the less rare beasts though, like the alphas, you can see here that the numbers, while a little bit increased, are definitely not significantly increased. I would gauge the fact that they're not actually that rare, so that they're kind of not really multiplied in the way that the actual true rare beasts are. So if it, for example, picks, Ferric Wolf Alpha and, a key to Saccharine, it's going to pick you the key to Saccharine, and the other one will be discarded, right? So that's why, in my opinion, they have not increased to the degree of the other ones. So look at the imprint bees here. We got an extra one of that. And we got over double the amount of phenomenal plagued arachnids, which is the split bees. We'll get to that in a minute here. Double the amount of apes, and 50% more vultures. So it's undeniable that these Watchstones, in combination with the turns and passive here, is the best bestiary strategy out, and it is completely broken. They sort of multiply together in a way that makes it very, very powerful, and you're going to get a significant amount of rare beasts. It's pretty much going to be almost every map that you're seeing a beast that is worth money, making these scarabs very, very worthwhile in my opinion, so very strong. All right. Okay, so we've established this thing is crazy money. Getting these Watchstones, fantastic. Let's take it even a step further. So we mentioned we've only used 2 Watchstones here, right? Okay, so we have 2 slots left. Well, we have a few options here. We can actually go for 2 more incredibly powerful Watchstones here. So we can go with 10% chance to create a copy of Beast captured in areas. So essentially with the actual middle part here, in the tree, Secrets of the Stones, this essentially works out to be about 25% more beasts. And when you factor that in, well, things just start to get a little bit silly, don't they? You know, we got beasts across the board. We're getting basically broken amounts of beasts when you actually factor it all out over 100 maps, and it just gets really, really crazy. And it's getting about more crazy in a second here. Okay, so there are some other Watchstone options that you can go for, which may even be more powerful. But you have to get there. We'll get to that at the end of the video, of course. Yeah, pardon me. All right, so moving right along, let's get into the nitty gritty. Let's get into how much you can make off this insane strategy here. So with my results, taking into account the Gilded Bestiary Scarab price, we'll just do a quick bit of editing here because some of the prices are a little bit off if you really want to get bulk going. You know, so if you want bulk Bestiary Scarabs, you're going to have to pay about 5C. All right, so you're going to have to pay about 5C and you're going to buy hundreds of them if you want to do that. So not too bad there. Now, some of the other prices are actually off in our favor. For example, PoE Ninja says that the Split Beast is 26 Chaos. That is not the case. It's about half an Exalt, which is 50 Chaos. So let's punch that number in here. So 50 Chaos here. You know, so we can see here, this is probably about how much you're going to get. I can tell you, you know, these prices all look pretty consistent as I've sold all my beasts already. And these are about the prices that you're looking at here, which is pretty good. So when you're looking at your profit, you know, you're looking at about 14.2 Chaos on average per map that you're going to get in the monies. Now, in terms of the map situation, you're going to want only Lyra Arthane maps. You can set up your Atlas to only drop Lyra Arthane maps, but you will also sustain maps fairly decently just by being in the Lyra Arthane area. You know, if you wanted to tack on an extra few Chaos for that, you could also do that, and you're going to see that your profit is about 11C if you factor in the map cost as well and you just exclude all the maps you drop. I'm not going to do that because I think that you sustain maps fairly well. And when comparing this to other pure kind of league mechanic strategies, you know, like Legion farming or, you know, Harby farming and Valdo's Rest, you can actually see that it's absolutely one of the most competitive. And it actually becomes even more powerful when you take it to the next level, which we're about to do. So let's do that right now. Let's take it to the next level. So there's a unique mechanic with Bestiary that allows you to essentially leverage its power in a group. So if you wanted to do some maps with friends, this is the strategy for you. It's absolutely insane money even by yourself, but if you get in a group, it becomes exponential. So let's actually get into that. So when you're doing Bestiary and you open up a Bestiary map and you know you're at the start of the map and you encounter a beast, in fact, everyone in the map, including your buddies, anyone standing at the start of the map, basically anyone in the zone gets that beast when it's captured, as long as they were in the map before you encountered it. So let's say you were doing your maps, right? And you got another buddy in, right? So you got another friend in and we're going over there and we're looking at this profit, right? So now, let's assume you split the cost between you, right? So it's 2.5 Chaos a map instead of 5, right? You split the cost between you, that's fair. Each of you is now making 16.7 Chaos profit. Now, that is pretty broken, right? So it's getting 2 for the price of 1. Very, very good there. Now, you can actually go even further. So part of PoE is that you're allowed to, you know, play your character, but you're also allowed to have what's called an alt character or a mule. There's lots of different words for it. Essentially, you're allowed to have another character logged in while your main is logged in. And, you know, you can trade with it. You can use its stash. This has always been a part of PoE. And, you know, a lot of players used to use this when stash tabs were limited. You know, it's also an alternative to having, you know, paying for stash tabs. But you can use this alternative character or mule to bring it into your maps and actually get the beast from that as well. So, you know, if your computer is powerful enough to kind of run 2 clients at once, which, you know, not everyone's will be, you can essentially double your profits. You know, you can get, you know, 32 Chaos on average per map instead of 16, which is actually completely broken. And now suddenly, Bestiary is 3 times as good as Auspicious Valor's Rest, which is the Harbinger farming strategy with the Watchstone. You don't have to pick up any loot. You can blast through these maps and you can make an absolute killing selling these beasts in bulk to crafters. And we'll get to why they want them in a second here, but very, very strong. Now, what makes this even more strong is you can play with friends and they can clear the map with you. So you can move through the map at an absolute extreme pace with your buddies. You can bring in alts, basically as many people as you want to fit into the party, you'll all make an equal amount and you can dilute the amount that it costs to run the map. So you got 5 friends, no worries, you're all making big bang, which is awesome fun and something that really isn't in the game, outside of Bestiary, except like, some invitation farming stuff right there. That's like kind of the other main one. So pretty cool there. Don't have to worry about splitting loot, none of that. Very, very fun with friends. So let's actually push it a little bit further, shall we? So let's say you wanted to actually get in with those friends and you wanted to make even more cash. Now, because you're diluting the cost of the buy-in, well, 3C, that's a pretty high amount for, scarabs or 5C or whatever you want to do, but diluted between 6 people, that's actually a fraction of a chaos. Now, let's say you guys wanted to go for a little bit more of an expensive option. You could buy lures. Lures are actually pretty expensive. This one here is like 30 chaos. You can get them for like cheaper, but they're about 30 chaos. But 30 chaos divided by 6 is only 5 chaos each. And lures add additional red beasts, but they're from a specific family. So you can target farm specific beasts. So this one, for example, would be for the split beast, the phenomenal plague arachnids. And those, are half an exalt each. And, if my math checks out, you could be looking at getting, a red spider every other map. I haven't tested it yet. I plan on testing it. You'll have to stay tuned to the channel for that one, but it could be completely absurd. You could get 50 plague arachnids from 100 maps. And between all of you, that's 300 plagued arachnids if you have 6 people in the party. That is mind-blowing. Absolutely broken. So, very, very good. All right, let's get into a little bit more details for the people who want it, and then we'll wrap up the video, of course. So, an alternative to the multiplier of the red beast, probably more aimed at gilded bestiary farmers here, is that you can actually favor different beast families using the other 2 watchstones. You of course want to keep in your naturally lucky ones. These are completely broken and allows you to get the beasts in the first place, but you can swap out the 25% more red beasts for 125% chance to kind of push the beasts in one direction. So I've decided to go and try out some phenomenal kind of family ones. So I have 125% increased chance that it's going to be from the caverns. So that means it's 125% chance to be, more plagued arachnids and more venomous ones. And I think that this actually could be particularly powerful. I haven't tested it out yet, but I'm interested to see the results. This, of course, doesn't stack that well with lures, but it is kind of like a poor man's lure. If you're just running in a 1 or a 2 man, this could actually turn out to be quite profitable for you. Very nice indeed. Okay, so let's get into what each of these beasts do and why they're so popular, so you guys have an idea of why you're farming these beasts. I think it's probably pretty good. Alright, so let's head over to the menagerie and I'll give you guys a crash course in all the most valuable beasts that you should be looking out for in your maps and why people want them, and kind of like give you an idea of why the bulk is so demanded. Alright, let's get into it. So the first one here that we're going to cover, let me just bring up my nice little list here, is of course the Pharaoh Ape. So this is essentially an ancient orb in disguise. You can gamble for unique belts and you can get league specific ones. Headhunter is on the table here, so Pharaoh Apes should sell. They're essentially a chance at a Headhunter. They're significantly cheaper than ancient orbs, but they're about equivalent in my opinion. So very good there. There's of course the 4 different spirit beast bosses. So you can get it to the spider crab. This is to Crachiani. Not massively demanded, but people will buy it, I can tell you that. We got the hybrid arachnid. This is to Venomous, a very, very profitable boss to farm right now. People will buy that as well if you can have enough of them. We got the Tiger Alpha, which gives you over to Feral. These sell for about 40 chaos. Sometimes people buy them 10 at a time as well, so very nice there. There's also the Sakawine Rex, which we'll get into here. And this one's to Sakawal. He's like a big dinosaur, very, very noticeable when you see him in the map. And, you know, he's pretty good as well. You'll sell him in bulk as well. Not too bad there. And then let's get into some of the more popular ones. So we got the Krakic Camiro. All right. So this essentially allows you to imprint a saved copy of a magic item. And it is highly demanded by all crafters in the game and is pretty much intrinsic to most end-game profitable crafts, you know, like mass producing, you know, deck stacking bows. This is one of the components to mass producing that bow. And, you know, it's very, very strong indeed. And people will buy, you know, 30, 40, even 100 of them off you at a time if you can get that amount of beasts. You know, that's hundreds of maps at that point, but, you know, there's no shortage of demand for these, and it will only become, you know, more demand as people try and craft more and more items with them. So very, very powerful, used primarily in high-end crafting. Next up, we've got the Plagued Arachnid. All right, Plagued Arachnid here. This is most likely the most powerful kind of beast or craft in the game. It's right up there on the power level of any harvest craft. If not, you know, if it was a harvest craft, it would probably be the best one. It essentially allows you to split any rare item in half, effectively duplicating the base, and also in some cases, in combination with imprinting, duplicating a blue base item. So I'm not going to explain the full detail because we'll be here for a while, but essentially if you have a 2-mod blue item, you can essentially, in combination with imprints, duplicate that infinitely. So, you know, if you have a prefix and a suffix on a really good base, let's say you have T1 life and a T1 resist on a 6-link, 6 white astral plate. Using the combination of the imprint and the phenomenal plate arachnid, you can essentially make infinite 6 white astral plates with T1 life and T1 resist. This is one of the massive parts of endgame crafting for profit, and people buy hundreds of these a day. Hundreds. You need them, and, you know, they basically print blue bases with them. So the demand for these is staggering. Very, very good. There will never be a time where people will not buy this off you. Absolutely not. So very good there. All right. The last two here that I want to highlight to you guys is the Wolf Alpha and the Lynx Alpha. Okay, so we'll just go over one of them because they're fairly similar. Essentially, these are nicknamed prefix to suffix and suffix to prefix because essentially what they do is they add a prefix while taking away a suffix, and also respectively vice versa. So essentially, it's an annulment orb and an exalted orb in one. Now, you probably don't think that that sounds too powerful. Even I don't think that sounds too powerful, but I can assure you, I'm friends with some of the big crafters, and they tell me these things are overpowered, and they buy them all. So, you know, they buy, you know, 50 at a time. You know, they love these things, and they go through them like nobody's business. There's essentially some very specific use cases and kind of abusive game mechanics that you can use with these to guarantee certain outcomes, and they use these to kind of force those. Yeah, so I can't give you any specific examples because I just don't know, but very, very powerful. So you have the Ferric Wolf Alpha and the Ferric Lynx Alpha. So all of these crafts, specifically the 4 of them on the end there, you know, those are probably on the level of, you know, most crafting currencies. It's like saying that a fusing orb wouldn't sell anymore. They're that powerful and that mainstay. It's probably more likely that you would compare it to an exalted orb, in my opinion there. So essentially what I was trying to outline there is it's basically 4 very, very popular, very strong bestiary bosses that people will always pretty much want for their crafts and their aspect crafts and all sorts of things and their unique drops. And then you've also got a myriad of incredibly powerful crafting options, which you can sell in bulk to the big crafters. So what do you get when you add all this together? Well, you get a strategy which is one of the best for currency, which you can run with any amount of friends that'll fit in your group, which you can essentially scale of having an alt or a mule character in the map as well if you want to go down that route. And you can juice even harder than I've shown in this video. And guess what? There's no cap on how fast you can do it. It's just how fast you can capture all the beasts. And all you need to do is put a map in, alch it. You don't even need to alch it actually, and put the scarab in and you're good to go. On top of that, bonus points, there's actually no looting involved. You just capture the beast and boom, next beast. Zoom, maximum speed strategy. So, in my opinion, Bestiary is one of the most powerful farming strategies, and the Atlas Ascendancies take it to absolutely dizzying heights. Very, very strong if you're looking for an alternative currency strategy, and I would highly recommend you guys checking it out if you want to make a bit of currency with friends. So with all that said, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this fairly in-depth video, but I'll see you guys in the next one or over on the stream. Cheers.